IFAD has been involved in in supporting African governments improve their agricultural systems for over 30 years now. But in the last few years, we have stepped up our investment in African agriculture, and in the next 3 years, we're planning to spend between $400 to $500 million a year in supporting African agriculture.
Where is that going to be centered on? Small-scale farmers or value-add processing plants?
Mostly on smallholder farmers, because the target for IFAD's activities are smallholder farmers. Actually, IFAD was established to provide support to smallholder farmers. But in the process of assisting smallholder farmers, we are aware that we also have to work with the private sector. So we're trying to see how we can leverage our resources so that more private sector resource also comes in support of smallholder farmers.
How easy is it to manage those different interests from the private sector? Because obviously, I mean, they're profit-driven, as well as the need for food security in Africa on behalf of the small-scale farmers. How easy is it to balance that relationship?
Well, you see, our basic philosophy is that smallholder farmers can become small-scale entrepreneurs, small-scale businesses. And the future of African farming actually lies in making sure that smallholder farmers don't remain at the subsistence level, but step up their production and integrate into the national, regional, and international markets. Now, the role that we see for ourselves is trying to come up with the structures, with the finance, with the supply inputs, with working with the private sector along the entire value chain, so that smallholder farmers do become part and parcel of the larger food production process in these countries.
Is it a case of catering for a burgeoning middle class in Africa, where the demand for Africa's foodstuff is going to come from, or are we looking more towards the Middle East and towards the East in China?
Africa is an important importer of, say, wheat, rice, and other products. So, first of all, the smallholders, I think, and other national producers have to focus on meeting national demands, particularly in the context of perhaps growing scarcity, increase in international food prices in the longer term. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on African countries to begin to have reliable access to food from their own sources. So we feel that smallholder farmers can enter into that market. But as you know, I mean, smallholder farmers have been suppliers, say, of other export crops like cocoa and cotton and others to the international markets. So in time, with growing productivity, if we're able to increase the productivity of smallholder farmers, there is no reason in the longer term that smallholder farmers can also not engage in the international market. So I think it's a question of the timing. First, develop the skills to meet your national market needs, and over time also engage in the international trade.
Talking about meeting your own needs, when you look at an example like Malawi, President wa Mutharika received a lot of flack from multinational organizations like the World Bank in trying to do just that. What needs to change on a global scale in terms of supporting African governments as well as internal policy changes?
Yeah, well, the big problem, as we all know, in terms of the international situation is, of course, the enormous subsidies that the US and European governments provide to their farmers, which enables them basically to undercut other producers. Now, you have to provide a level playing field for smallholder farmers in Africa or in other regions if they are going to compete internationally. But in terms of meeting national needs, either through fertilizer subsidies or other support, one has to do the calculations rather carefully, because you don't want to enter into, say, a subsidy program in which the cost of subsidy is actually much higher than the actual extra produce that you're producing through the subsidy. On the other hand, if in fact, because of marketing or other failures, there is a case for subsidy and it results in a massive increase in production, then both economically and socially it can be justified.